Alrighty, what's going on, Macro Perspective peeps? I'm super excited to connect today with Ryan Hellriegel. Marcos and I have been trying to get him on for a little bit. Lee Hoffman, one of our previous guests, connected us with him. I actually got connected because they were so generous and nice to give us a mobility tool to try out. I've been working with it. Ryan was one of the creators for it, or the creator for it. But we're just kind of wanting to chat today primarily around like health, wellness. But Ryan, for the audience, for the folks, and honestly for Marcos and I, like I was saying right before the chat here, I was like, well, what does Ryan do? Who is Ryan? I was like, all I know, this guy traveled all summer. That's all I saw. I saw him all over the world. So you let us know what you're up to, Ryan, who you are, and we'll get into the convo today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me today. I really look forward to seeing where the conversation goes. And like you said, we're just getting to know each other. So I'm Ryan Hellriegel. I live in San Diego, California, and I'm the co-founder of a company called Rollflex. We specialize in making recovery tools that are novel and address things like tennis elbow, carpal tunnel, tendonitis, shin splints, of a litany of other things. But we're most famous for this tennis elbow recovery tool. And everything I do, as you notice, is related to health and wellness, from traveling to exploring. Everything is wrapped up around adventure and how do I adventure more and how do I keep myself moving longer and further and faster.
So why tennis elbow? What was it, like something near and dear to your heart that you wanted to figure out and fix or create a solution for that particular thing? Why did it start there?
So as chance would have it, the tool, the Rollflex, it addresses both legs and arms. And I'm a runner. I do triathlons and tend to have a lot of injuries in the past around leg-related injuries. But we put this tool out into the market, and we just found that people loved it mostly for tennis elbow and tendonitis. Because if you think about trying to address tennis elbow with a lacrosse ball or a foam roller, it's a pretty awkward concept to try to roll your arm down against the ground. And we designed this leverage-based tool, and I love it for the calves. I mean, obviously it's extremely effective for tennis elbow, but it was really just, kind of not a second thought, but is obviously taken front stage.
Yeah.
So it was more out of necessity for recovering for the massive amounts of running that you were deciding to do. And then other people was like, you know what, this area is hard to kind of reach and leverage. So let's see if it works here. And boom.
Yeah. And now we're the most purchased tool in the world for tennis elbow recovery. We serve everybody from physical therapists that are trying to help their patients recover and do at-home work to the athlete, like all of us here, all the way to corporations and industries trying to reduce worker compensation claims. So if like Boeing and Lockheed Martin and UPS and Amazon, it's been a wild ride, and I could have never imagined even where we're at. That it would have taken this lane of arm recovery.
That is so wild, because I get the calf and like the legs, like runners, like on my ankles, my feet, like I need something. But I totally agree. Like I'd never figured out how to properly massage my forearms without someone else doing it, like squeezing my forearms. And like it's crazy because I'll do like the tennis ball on the wall or like the lacrosse ball, but it's not the same. And you don't know how bad your forearms are until someone like, hey, let me just squeeze those a little bit. And you're like, oh, I need that. I need more of that. And then when I was playing with the Rollflex, I was like, I kind of got like addicted to like just putting it on the table or on my knee and just going like this all day. Cause I was like, dang, it's quite addictive as a feeling. Cause it's like, I mean, I could foam roll my calves. I could do everything, but I just you can't get your forearms. And I don't know if people realize, like, Marcus, I don't know if you get this, but dude, like how much time does your forearms get like in terms of like getting that kind of recovery? I never thought about it until I was like, oh, shit, this is what I've been missing. I didn't know it was something I was missing until I felt it.
Well, Zach Forrest, who we had on when we were training for CrossFit regionals and building a team, he was always really trying to limit the amount of fatigue that your forearms would get in our training, because that tended to be the area that you're always using, obviously, in CrossFit. So therefore, I mean, if this product was around, when did you guys create this product? How long has it been in the market?
The Rollflex has been around since 2016 in a very different way. About 4 years ago is when you would see the product the way it is right now.
Okay. So that would have been right when I was like, kind of was like more or less being done with like the competing phase, or kind of right in the thick of it. So like, I guess the Gen 1 version you know, did you guys ever do anything inside of like the CrossFit circuit, like at that time?
American Ninja Warrior is what we focused on back then.
Gotcha. So, I mean, it could have been adjacent, but I bet you probably would have crushed it at a booth at a CrossFit event at the time.
Yeah.
And then you would have been like, oh shit, like this is going to help eliminate that forearm, like recovery, like the strain that goes on there from all those like grip heavy intensive workouts and things that could help like roll it out more efficiently. Cause you're right. Rolling your forearms out with the foam roller, I'm like laying on the floor, trying to do one of these like weird shimmies and, that like constant like just
or you have
strain
to
and
do
like
like
tension.
the Kelly Starrett like mobility wad, get the barbell on there and like do this kind of thing, which is not practical all the time. And dude, this would have crushed in like this probably crushes with like grapplers and like wrestlers like my people.
It does.
It probably crushes.
And it's funny that you mentioned Kelly. He's a big fan of the Rollflex as well. It's really, it's to your point, it's really the overuse of arms is apparent everywhere, right? You really don't realize, you know, for your listeners and for all of us here, it's like if you just touch your forearm and press really hard down, you'll realize really quickly like, oh shit, I have some tension I didn't really notice, because not only is it the sports and CrossFit, for example, or grappling, but like we weren't designed to have our hands be this small on a phone or on a keyboard all day long. Like our physiology wasn't designed to be that small for that long, which is why if we go like this all day and then we do big movements, we tend to get strains and pains and injuries in your forearms or your carpal tunnel or gamer's thumb. It's kind of this spot you really don't think about until you go, oh, shit, you know, like I already have pain.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What's like a recommended protocol that you would like, hey, like you handed this over to somebody, like how frequent, how often, duration, etc.?
Yeah, 2 to 3 times a day for 2 or 3 minutes. So the same, I think it's important to note that what we tried to create when building this was how do we replicate the feel and pressure that could be like as sensitive as light as a feather or as deep as a masseuse's can press as hard as they can. We're just trying to mimic a massage therapist's thumb. So when we do a protocol of 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day, you can't beat yourself up, because just like a massage, if they're going too hard in one area for too long, you're going to be super tender and sore. So we have a whole litany of 2 to 3 minute. My business partner is a world-class physical therapist, Nick Bartolotta. He trains all the NBA PTs, like how to help their athletes go further. Everybody that has a Rollflex or anybody in general that just wants to recover from any of these ailments, they can just literally go to the website Rollflex Recovery and check out like proper protocol led by a PT.
Perfect. That's awesome. I think it's, just, you know, I don't think people understand like this guy right here. I mean, yeah, we're talking about athletics. We're talking about like the, you know, NBA athletes and all these things, but it's like our day to day. I mean, being in the flex position all day and then asking someone who wants to be healthy, right? It's like, all right, let's go lift. Let's go do this thing. And next thing you know, it's like, oh man, I did that bicep curl, but then I got like this issue here, you know? And sometimes it's not even like those connective tissues are bad. It's just maybe just down the line, you need a little bit support, you need a little bit of this. It's crazy. I think like one of the things that I've always talked with when it comes to like combat athletes for sure is like, my coach, we did a lot of like forearm training, but we would do a lot of like less flexion, but like more extension. And I would do that with like the Rollflex as I'm going through it. I'm kind of like doing a little bit of like active release, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's just money.
So happy you love it so much. Yeah, it allows you to do like self-applied ART work, and that's actually the therapeutic effect of the Rollflex. The Rollflex isn't just like a rolling back and forth tool. It's not just like a foam roller. It allows you to like tack and squeeze and hold that muscle down while contracting it under tension to strip that knot in a way. The example we always give, is you guys really well now, it's like everything's a rubber band, right? So from our wrist to our elbow. So if the rubber band is extra tight because there's a knot in one part of that rubber band, it's going to start pulling on its closer attachment point, whether that's wrist or elbow and so forth. So to like actually strip that knot away to re-lengthen that rubber band, you really have to tack and stretch and squeeze and lengthen that area. It's not just like, my business partner is so funny. He's like, it's kind of like we know we should brush our teeth and we do that, but We know flossing is the real thing that causes problems. Flossing is ART for muscles.
There it is. I've never heard it so elegantly said. I've never. That's like
Oh,
perfect. um, you know, something that I was just thinking about. Obviously, the product's doing great. I love it, Marcos. We gotta get one in your hands. Honestly, I think you'll love it as like a recovery. It's easy. Like it's just like you kind of just hold it and you just kind of roll it around and stuff like that. I bring it with me to the track before I go. Like, I just got to loosen up my calves primarily. One thing I want to ask though, you know, you kind of just brought this up at the beginning of the call. This journey, man, can you tell me like what's been some of the biggest like I'm curious like what's been some of the biggest like highlights of this journey so far? Like what have you learned? What have been some challenges? I mean, to be the number one arm forearm tool for recovery across multiple companies. I mean, that just sounds, who would have ever thought of that?
yeah, we didn't think of that, right? I think the biggest takeaway from the journey is kind of start trying to expect the unexpected and roll with the flow and the punches, like have a North Star. And we always wanted to, like, something that's on our wall that we try to remind ourselves every day is mobility is freedom. You can be super strong, you can be a yogi and be super flexible, but to really allow that mobility side of it, like as long as that's our North Star, the rest of it, like sacrificing ego and pride that we want it to be this way, we just put things out there and develop new tools and we see what people say and we adjust and iterate off that. So biggest takeaway from the journey so far would be quite literally that, and just how can we serve people in the best way. And I think that comes, like, you guys are entrepreneurs and I'm sure a lot of your listeners are entrepreneurs, but like leading from a place of service and like I'm here to serve my team, then the team can come up with the most amazing thoughts and ideas and ways to implement that I would have never been able to, you would have never been able to, all of us. It's never a journey by oneself. Like I keep mentioning my business partner over and over and over again, and we have a lot more to our team than that, but it's like some of the, I could never even imagine it would be like this. And we're still a small San Diego company. Like I don't want it to sound like anything crazier than that, but man, it's been so fun, right? It's like you're doing CrossFit, you know, it's like, that's what you love so much. I see you're always running. You're at the track, you know, I'm watching on Instagram, and it's not to be creepy, but cheering you on, truly. And it's just so cool that, like, to be able to sponsor an Ironman event, to be able to sponsor like the Challenged Athlete Foundation here in San Diego, like help adaptive athletes do what they love and go to Spartan races and like be a vendor. Like I would be doing all that stuff by myself, as I'm sure you guys do, but we pay for it all. We do all of that. And now it's just like an extension of a way to help people and like make a business out of it.
Yeah.
It feels and still, and I hope always will feel like kind of surreal. Yeah.
I know what you mean. Actually, this would be the year that I'm like most now considering like sponsoring an event versus competing in it, right? Where like you kind of like flip the role in a sense, which feels kind of weird, but like almost good in a whole different way. Like, okay, my bigger purpose now and mission is to lead more from a coaching lens versus an athlete lens. And one of the people that I'm in a business networking group with, he hosts a nonprofit based competition every year. It's like his fundraiser that funds to give free memberships to disabled veterans. And that's what his whole nonprofit and gym is based off of. So I'm like, do I like ask him about like, do I like let him silent auction off some nutrition coaching so that he can kind of like get the proceeds of that? And then I also have the benefit of, you know, people, you know, interacting with me, you know, and yeah, it's like, you know, if it's a 1, 2, 3 month package or whatever it is, sometimes our administrative assistant here would say like, I don't want you to give away your time for me. I'm like, well, I like doing that. Like, this is like, you know, like sometimes like people didn't know what it was that you had to provide and offer until you've kind of given it away with no like real like more for like the gratitude element of it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been mulling that over. I was thinking about, because we had our meeting yesterday in person. I'm like, what version of that is going to make sense for you, Nick, and is like the most beneficial? And I think he'd be like, honestly, do you just want to come judge? And I'll be like, well, I got to devote a whole weekend or a whole day on a Saturday, which my time there is a little harder with younger kids these days because I'm fairly sure my son will have a soccer game or a tournament that weekend. Don't even know. I should probably double check the dates, you know? So
Life.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
definitely. What a beautiful place for you to be in, where you can even consider making that transition from athlete to service to offering service. Like that is talking about like the word you said. I love that, higher purpose. Like,
mhm.
how can I be of better and more service? And the truth of it is, it might never come back. You might just be serving and giving, and that's okay too. Because I think, not to be funky and quote Tony Robbins, but I'm going to do it. The secret to living is giving, and I always say, as long as you can serve and help, like it's already in your heart and your gut that you want to do this. You just have to figure out how to make it happen, and you're gonna, and that's sick. Let me know how I can support. I'm down.
Dude,
Yeah.
talking about Tony Robbins, he's here in Anaheim in like a few days.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going to that?
I have tickets to it, but
Cool.
my wife and I wanted to go, but because we both started new positions, we were kind of just like, shoot, like I don't think we
Mhm.
could like literally take 4 days in the middle of the week to like go.
Yeah.
I've gone to his like multiple times. My first one was like almost 10 years ago, but he definitely is. I do love kind of going to his stuff and everything like that.
Yeah, he's cool. Everything in moderation, including the Kool-Aid of Tony Robbins. It's like it's powerful messaging. That Anaheim event is really cool. I know we haven't talked about the other things, but I actually own 2 brick and mortar wellness facilities that are co-owned by Tony Robbins. It's called OsteoStrong. We strengthen bones and joints. So it's like super
Hmm.
specialized. PTs refer to us, endos refer to us.
That's so funny. That's going down our aisle, right, Marcos? That's like right up,
Yeah, we
right up.
well, so you own 2 of them, you said, or
I own
co-own,
2
however that.
locations. Correct.
What are the benefits of OsteoStrong? Because ironically enough, we've had patients ask about this. So Ryan, our day jobs have been clinically led for basically combined over a decade, and so obviously OsteoStrong is a little bit newer, but it's kind of like promising something in a very short period of time for like bone density and strength. Like maybe going into that a little bit. I know it's like a kind of a sidebar to like the other thing, but like for
Okay.
us, like selfishly, it's like why would you get involved in it as an owner?
Yeah.
Like what did you see, or what have you noticed, or who inspired you to get in, be a part of that?
Great questions. And I think the most honest response is whenever I hear of something that flies in the face of everything I know from an exercise science perspective, my ears open up. Because if somebody's willing to be that bold to deliver that much in that short amount of time, there has to be some sauce behind it. So for me, the reason I got involved was because, a whole litany of things, primarily around osteoporosis. We know fully that the example I make is we go to the gym, we work out, we put a good amount of safe stress on our muscles adapt and get stronger over time, right? It's like survivalistic. So when I learned about OsteoStrong and I was trying to understand what they did, it's the same fundamentals. If we put a lot of safe stress on the bones will naturally adapt over time and get stronger. It's cool because they're both tissues.
Hmm.
The main reason I got involved with it, other than like understanding, that was just purely curious for me, fascinating how that could work so simply in such a short amount of time, is that osteoporosis in my grandma and my mom has been such a large thing. And it's this like one of very few, very misrepresented, not understood areas of anatomy of the body, really, where if there's a natural way to solve something, I want to be a part of it. And that's kind of how this came to be. I've had OsteoStrong for 6 years now.
You
I've
got
had it
2
longer.
locations,
Dang.
Yeah, the Rolflex.
La
Yeah.
Jolla and Carlsbad. I'm gonna have to come through.
Yeah. Where are you? Where do you live?
I'm in LA, but me and my wife we go down to San Diego. We got family out in La
Yeah.
Jolla, right there next to the university, like in one of those apartments.
Yeah. We'd love to have you guys out. It's super fun. But yeah, truly because of it, it's such a prevalent osteoporosis is a disease and it has no natural solutions other than a doctor recommending doing weight bearing exercise or take some medication. So OsteoStrong allows you to create the safest, not fully 100% risk free
Yeah,
environment to put thousands. Look, we have our clientele doing leg presses at about 1,300 pounds of pressure
that's right.
for a
What,
70-year-old.
yeah, that's the thing. What you guys use specialized, like horse powered machines that I remember I haven't been to an OsteoStrong, but I remember someone telling me like we went to a NSCA summit and it was like these RX machines or something like this. But like I guess they're like horsepower, but like they're like yeah, places like an OsteoStrong or like a specialty boutique gym would kind of have this. I remember doing like 5 reps of like a chest press and a lat pull down, like 5 reps. And they're showing me on the computer like, hey, here's your tonnage or here's like the amount of force you're putting out. I remember my back and my chest blew up and I just couldn't do anything for like the next 2 days. I was like, this is blew up in a good way, not like that. Like I was like,
Yeah, for
dang,
sure.
that was, and it was only like, he's like, yeah, you only need to do that once a week and people's bones and muscles gain a lot of strength.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's exercise science, right? Like it's the more weight, like we all know the adage, the more weight you put on, the less reps, the stronger, the bigger you're going to get, faster. You know, it's essentially when our members come into OsteoStrong, they're doing their safest, most effective range at their maximum capacity for 5 seconds. So they're essentially doing a one-time max once per week, which is how we can get these results. And we're doing it in like a really safe container. So then the neurology of the body can really become more at ease. You can push harder. I mean, shit, I can do like 400 pounds on a leg press. I can do like 3,300 pounds on an osteo. It's called Spectrum is the equipment. It's wild.
So then walk me on that equipment. Like, is it
Yeah.
just overloading the eccentric portion? Is it like you're pressing that actually with like the concentric part of it? Like, I'm trying to envision
Yeah.
what it is that's going on there.
It's like an isometric press and a pull. So depending on, there's 4 main machines, semi-robotic machines that allow you to target a certain area. So for example, the first one's the lower growth trigger. So it is like a semi-static isometric press into a pressure plate. The secret sauce of it is actually the fact of the range of motion that you are in is at that 120 degrees, and 120 degrees is the strongest range of that motion in that leg press. So for example, if you went to the gym and only were at 120, it didn't have to go to a more acute angle, compressed, or a more obtuse, lengthen. These lower angles, they're actually way weaker. So when we do a maximum effort on a chest press or a bench or a leg press, we actually are never doing our strongest potential for that muscle group. We're actually limited to our weakest range of that muscle group because that's the compressed area of it. So we're just putting somebody in their strongest position and we're doing it isometrically. So there's very little risk because there's no movement at play. You guys, as coaches and trainers, it's like as we do more range of motion, there's more risk of movement patterns or more complex movement patterns. And then add way more weight, the risk goes up even more. So how can we keep the weight really high and reduce the risk? We make it an isometric press rep pull. It's really fascinating stuff. I did not create it. It's not mine. I'm just the lucky steward of it. And man, the results that we have, we're very upfront with people. The only 2 times we don't see results is if there's a minimum effective dose. Like you have to be able to push 4.2 times your body weight. So if you can't get to there, your bones won't adapt. And the second one is if somebody tries signing up with us and they haven't had a visit from their endocrinologist, or they haven't been to one. If they have any hormonal inflection problems going on with, their thyroid, their parathyroid, we can't outpace that metabolic rate of bone. So other than that, this week alone, we've had one person at 11.3% increase in bone density in 1 year. The other one was 2.1.
Yeah.
But from a standpoint of a doctor, in most scenarios, most people don't think you can reverse that curve. Most people think you can just slow it down. And it's because of higher force.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And this is DEXA analyzed bone density readings, I take it?
Yeah, same facility, same practitioner.
Yeah. Seamus, how much is this like going into your head about the episode we did with the bone health specialist?
Who's also in San Diego, by the way.
Is he in San Diego?
I'm blanking on his name, Dr. John Golstat. I believe I'll send you the episode. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's like a bone specialist. He's written like multiple bestsellers on books. I do remember with Cinegenics when I was working there like a few years ago, we were trying to create like a partnership with OsteoStrong, at least like in the Beverly Hills Center in a few areas because there was like one in Studio City. I think there was I mean, there's a lot in LA when I look at the map. There's like a bunch.
Ton.
And I was always recommending it. And I remember when OsteoStrong sent us their like little pamphlet. They're like they showed like the DEXA from like osteopenic 2 to osteopenic 1, osteoporotic to like normal, and they showed like their case study, which was like somebody that was older, and it was like a 14% bone growth increase. And they're like 14% is like the average we kind of see if someone follows. And I'm like, yo, 14% is pretty freaking unheard of, you know.
Crazy.
It's kind of crazy. And obviously, yeah, there are some things there. Maybe like we do have to look at hormonal replacement. But I mean, when you think about what we talk about with Marcos and about true optimization, it's like, well, if you have osteopathic problems, you are someone that's indicated to, you know, work with the doctor, work functionally, to be like, okay, let's get some, you know, HRT in there. And I think that's like the biggest thing. I mean, probably, you know, the biggest market there. We like, I would always recommend it to women that were like, let's say mid 40s, right, or even younger. And I'm like, yeah, I think you know, you can definitely go into it, especially with women that are like, I would say, haven't resisted training as much. Obviously, resistance training is great. Some plyometrics is great. But like you kind of just said, I think that kind of is like a pro con, because it's like you are adding extra range of motion for somebody that may not be strong in that motion. You are adding complexity with like play with plyometrics. You know, what if you just got them strong in those areas? They were strong. They're doing a session per week. They're worked with a trainer. It's a pretty safe machine.
Yeah.
That's honestly such a great, that's a great tool in the toolkit. I know that OsteoStrong, there's a bunch here in LA, and I think, I'll be honest, I think a bunch of our members did take that up. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And just like everything in movement, nothing should be laid out and siloed, right? Like the amount of our members that also do personal training, the amount of our members that are, you know, it's the whole enchilada. It's what you're eating. I mean, you guys are no more than anybody, right? It's like to say that any one thing is the end all be all is to be extreme and band camp somewhere for no reason. It's a little bit of everything at all points. But it has been one hell of a fun journey. It's this whole side of the medical community that ironically with Rollflex now too, like we're now, as I shared with you, we're doing like workers' compensation programs for large businesses, and it was just a recovery tool, and now it's addressing chronic ailments. You know, it's one of those full circle moments, like I shared earlier. It just kind of feels like a holy shit moment. Both of them are crossed into the medical world, but never had the intention of. It's wild.
An episode we did earlier this week, an individual was talking about just being able to extend the ability for workers to work and the value it places in terms of the financial benefit for society. He said for every year that you can basically, like if we basically moved like the social security age up 1 year, right? Like you deferred 1 more year, or we moved it to 66 versus 65, and people work to that age per person. He said the numbers seemed too outrageously high, but it was like 14 trillion. Is that what he said, Seamus?
I believe it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was some I'm like, per one person? He's like, yes. And I was like, trillion, like with a T. It's like, yes. It was just like this, like, so, I mean, the ability for, I mean, a bunch of different interventions to keep people healthier, longer, and strong enough to actually exist and work in a very positive manner is a huge thing. So like you just said, and he's like, basically all roads point back to everybody's going to spend a lot of money in medical care, and finding ways / alternatives to elevate that and optimize like human performance is really the name of the game. And this was the episode on the enhanced games, everybody. So this is an individual who's literally going really against the grain and saying, hey, we're going to give out $1 million per person that can beat a world record. We don't care if you're using drugs or not.
We want you to use drugs, is what he said.
Wild. But I mean, his numbers don't sound, I'm sure he's done the math. Just to be even in that ballpark in general is just a wild thought process. Like where that thought goes to is like, you know, like how many people can be working a little bit longer or not doing workers' compensation claims, like even not 3 days down, you know, how can we reduce the 3 days down? Honored to be invited on a podcast with Guy Raz of How I Built This last week. And the gentleman that I was on with, I don't know if I can actually say his name at this moment, but he owns like a massive manufacturing company, like $1 billion manufacturing business that supplies Apple and all these things. And he was just running down the numbers of that very same thought, but just around like days for just his team, right? Not the whole world for his workers' comp claims. And, you know, I love that we are all of us on this call, and I believe your listeners too, are very much about like, how do we just feel better so we can move better and accomplish more and serve better? But at the end of the day, these numbers, like what the gentleman that you had on maybe and the gentleman that I was talking with, these are hard business line numbers, and money does move people. You know, money does start the conversation around how can I make a safer workplace ergonomically for my employees? How can I make how can I feel better? It's all just like one chain after another. So,
Yeah.
I mean, both people you said already, it sounds like you have some really cool guests. I mean, I love connecting. Feel free. Be sick.
We'll have to connect with this billion-dollar man. I mean, I think about this ergonomics all the time. I know when I was getting my degree in kinesiology, I didn't understand what like ergonomics meant. I still don't. But I know, for example, like when you're working, our coordinator at Beverly Hills, the desk that she got after we moved offices, as soon as she got that desk, her right shoulder neck issue was so prominent. And I'm like, why? What's up? And I looked at her setup, and it's because she had this screen here and this other screen, but it's lowered. And then her right hand was with the mouse, but there wasn't enough room for the mouse because the screen was in the way. And I was like, and in 2 weeks' time, you're having this nerve pain, the shoulder issue. Her workouts weren't doing good. She had like a headache. And I was like, dang, you really do have to watch your space ergonomically. But let's take that even longer, because if you think about the numbers there, like maybe did she have to take a day off work? Like, how does that look like? Whatever, right? My buddy, I just talked to him yesterday. He's awesome. So he works for Exos, which is one of these companies that has like a big kind of like a contract with like Google and the Google's campus. So he does like strength and conditioning there, but he does a lot of data analytics on the ergonomics of their things. So he does that also with the military. I can't go over too much into it, but he basically, we talked about this where what is the cost of someone being unfit, right? In the military, what is the cost of someone being unfit in the workplace? Injuries, what are the costs of that? And the numbers he told me were, I was like, wait, so you're telling me if one platoon is just off by a little bit, it could really cost us, this country, like a whole lot, or like even like a battle. Like it could be that extreme. I was like, that sounds ridiculous to me. He's like, I know, but like these are the numbers you have to think of, especially as like he's like a tactical coach. So it's like these are the things you have to think of when you're thinking of the workplace, the work environment, and who you're serving. I was like, who thinks of these things?
Serious level of strategy, high level, like butterfly effect, like what affects what else in the catalytic chain, right? Like down that road. I love conversations like this because it really gets you thinking. I mean, your guys' podcast is the macro, so like 50,000 foot view. Mm-hmm. This is like properly looking at like designs of things and why things have decisions that they have. So yeah, it's wild to even be a part of these conversations, and the capacity of like, we also do have military contracts with Rollflex.
Crazy.
It's just this, I remember runner over here, calf tool, world's best calf tool, even publicly on this podcast. If somebody knows of a better calf tool, I'll give them $100. It's just not possible. This is like leverage over gravity. But from the calf guy, it's like, it's all arms. It's all like, most people purchase it for it. We just serve people on this like industrial level on a way that I could have never imagined. Like it's really surprising, but it's just really cool. I honestly feel super lucky to even be able to have conversations like this, high level, about these things.
And that's what we hope to provide, man. That's literally been the name of the game. And obviously macro plays on our niche, which is nutrition. I was like, when we were thinking about a name, what are we going to call it? And boom, I was like, what do you think about this? Because we kind of want a little bit of everything. We don't really want to just like pin ourselves down into purely nutrition focused, but all roads for us do point back to like, health and wellness. And as board certified health and wellness coaches, like there are many 50,000 foot views that do help people really identify different pillars that help move their health in the right direction. Whether it's the mental health, whether it's the physical, whether it's the financial, like all the conversations that we've had going on 200 episodes now is really, one, it's selfishly for us. Like if we can look back at the body of work, and my kids can look back and say like, Dad, your first episode sucked. It's like, I know, you know, I'll be like, hey,
Yeah.
we started, we did the thing, and we kept going at it. And, you know, my partner over here, Seamus, I owe a lot to him. Like you mentioned before we started, you know, like I've kind of been a ghost, and Seamus has a little more free time to be able to hold conversations to get people in here, where, you know, I've got to deal with my kids a bit more. So honestly, dude, Ryan, when I tell you that, like, I'm at Dunbar's number plus plus, like I'm at Dunbar's number plus plus. Like, you know, I have so many
Yeah.
interactions with humans and people. I remember everybody's face, but like I can't always remember the name to people. It's the
Yeah.
darndest thing. And so
Yeah,
like
capacity.
like, you know, there's 150 people in our practice for clinical, and I remember like finer details. I know one unique thing about every 150, like to the point where when I have conversations without a soap note with my doctor, we're like, who's that guy? Like, he does this, he lives in this city, does this thing, has this, like, you know, likes crypto, whatever, right? We remember all these details, but we forget their names. It's the, like, if we could write a sitcom about like that being the whole premise, it'd be a hysterical thing.
You know what's really interesting about that? I think that's a really cool thing to jam on just tangentially for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggle with names too. Seamus, how do you struggle with names, or are you good with them?
You know what? I think I'm okay with names. Right now, I think I'm okay. I don't have kids like Marcos yet or
Yeah,
anything.
Yeah.
If you gave me something about somebody, I know what's going on. I try to keep consistent with connects on the gram and stuff like that. Like I know
yeah,
people because like I feel like for me, I keep an eye on a lot of things because I'm kind of expecting on like who do I want to have on the pod? Who do I want to connect with? Partly because of, like the stuff that I like, and also too like yeah, there is a little bit of that like selfishness of like I want to get that conversation, and also too like a little bit of like yeah, a little bit of gaming the system a little bit for social media, but like I feel like I follow a lot of folks because I'm just like, there's so much out there, and I'm like, dude, people like I love rubbing shoulders with people. Like I just don't,
Yeah.
I'm
and
just
you do a
like
great
I
job at
started,
it. You're very easy to talk to. Yeah,
I'm a
you do
health coach.
a
You
great
know,
job.
that's what I do. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and you know
I'm
what's
a health
funny?
coach. So right now it's okay.
I think the name thing is a little fleeting, Marcus, and I'll speak for myself, because when people share about themselves, their name is kind of the one thing that, hey, this is my name. But like, what's really about you? Where's the emotion? What's the thing they
Mhm.
love? Like you mentioned crypto, maybe somebody's obsessed with crypto.
Yes.
I
Yep.
know tons of people like that, right? Like they're fired up on that. Then we know the dude or the woman that's obsessed with marathoning.
Yeah.
That's their thing. Like, but we remember that feeling that they shared with us,
Hmm.
and not that like, hey, I'm Ryan. Like it's
Yeah.
whatever. It's
Well,
not
lucky
even.
for you, you have alliteration, Rollflex Ryan, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you get that all the time, right?
No, never. That was the first time ever in my entire life.
He said it sarcastically.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
like, you know, monikers like that are things that people will utilize to try to like have a memorable thing about it. And I just tried to place that with, you know, the patient care, because I'm like, I want to make sure that these conversations, when they happen year to year or quarter to quarter, are engaging and like I give a shit. And, you know, one of the patients, like, I know that he is the fire extinguisher salesman that's into crypto, told me to read the book, The Stranger from Jackal Island, which was like about like the Fed or
yeah,
whatever it was. So it's like, boom, that patient, I have a lot of little inklings, and I bring it up every time. It's like, hey, like, and I was like, what other books do you have to recommend? Because I was fascinated when I gave that a read, you know?
mhm,
And then even the ones today, it's like, okay, it's a couple, they're both physicians, I know where they live, I know their interests, right? But like you said, it's like their identity matters almost more to me than their names at times. But I also know with them, their name is spelled a certain way. You want to pronounce it one way, but it's not actually said that way. So it's like, you know, when
yeah.
Seamus asked that question, right? He knows now. He's like, he probably that will stick for your last name, because he had to like, he's like, I would think it's this way, but did I know for certain? So yeah, the
And
emotion.
that's a great point. Like when Seamus said that and asked me how to pronounce my last name earlier, it's important, but it's like it's not really. It's like what's the like who is the person behind the name?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
both of us here, Marcos and Seamus, we get our names butchered constantly. I am
Yeah,
Marco. I am Marcus. I am never Marcos.
Marcos. Yeah.
Marcos, you know?
Or he is the Marco Pod.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I thought of that. That's something that came up for me too. I was like, and then I thought
Yeah.
about that really cool tens unit device, the Mark Pro.
The Mark Pro. Yeah, yeah. And it's funny too, because I had a brief moment on Instagram where I was macros with Marcos. So, you can just change a couple letters around. And then someone brought out, I was like, all you do is macros. I was like, okay, it's misleading if I just say that. Like, it's not what I really do.
And you know what's funny is like a lot of my coaching, and Marcus is like, a lot of my coaching, I actually don't even teach macros. Like that would have been like the irony in all of it.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Well,
It's
Ryan,
crazy.
dude,
It's
honestly,
like, sorry, go ahead.
No, dude, I just want to say, look, we're 5 minutes out from your hard stop. I'm loving this conversation. I wish we could jam more. This is the thing Marcus and I talk about is like, why do these podcasts got to be just an hour long? I feel like when you get to meet like a great soul like you, just like, fuck, can we just chill with this dude for a second? Like roll a few, have a few tacos, chill, look at the sunset, just fucking hang.
You guys can go for a long run together and get it on a marathon, but not me. I'll be roll flexing my calf because after a little bit of running yesterday, I actually really need this. So yeah, I'm happy to go give it a try now for sure.
Yeah, Ryan, do me a favor. Where can people find you? What's something that you're excited for, like in the next month with the business? Are you guys doing anything? Are you like sponsoring an event like in the next 4 weeks? And then like this episode is out in like about 4 weeks, so probably around like November. So if that's a time, there's something there, shout it out where people can find you, where they can buy your products. And yeah, it sounds like you're really serving a lot of people. The number one fastest growing product for the forearm, or the arm issues. Yeah, let's hear it, man.
Yeah, I mean, to find me personally, you can always find me on LinkedIn at Ryan Hellriegel. The website for Rollflex is Rollflex with one L, recovery.com. And something that I'm really excited about, I mean, coming into Q4, it's for e-commerce companies, it's the strongest buying intention of the year. It's at this point, we have new products releasing, we have new partnerships going live in a month, but to be completely honest with you, and something we didn't get to cover much on this journey is the reason that I believe we're all in health and wellness is to live a more like full life, right? Like Marcos is tapped out. He's doing all these things. He's in clinicals. He's a dad, like all these amazing things, but he can show up that way because he has his therapy and his movement, right? Movement of therapy, and is health minded and can do all these things. Like that's the main reason that I'm even in this space too. So what I'm most excited about is in 1 month time from today, so November 2nd, I leave to sail across the Atlantic Ocean. So I'm actually going to be really entrusting my team with a whole lot so that I can, with my health, do the things that I love to do and do more of them more often. So that's something I'm really, really excited about.
Hey.
Dang.
You're the second person I know to sail across the Atlantic. I had another patient actually go and literally like circumnavigate the globe like Magellan or Christopher Columbus or whatever one it was that did that.
Yeah. That's the goal, man. I can't wait I haven't done it yet. Hopefully I'll have that done by December, but stay tuned. But yeah, the goal is to sail around the world too. Yeah. So.
Dude.
And I take it it's not with no power, right? It's straight up you're using the wind as your sails.
Yeah, we're racing across. It's a regatta.
That's sick.
Dang. Yeah. That's legit. That is.
You're gonna be exhausted. Next level stuff right there.
Sleep is.
Bring a Rollflex. All that rope and all that. You're gonna need.
100%. Sailors love the Rollflex. Talk about a niche sport. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Please. Well, dude, Ryan. Yeah. Thank you so much for again, giving us the time. Same thing. I think we all can agree. We wish I had a bit more just to kind of dive into maybe a few more things, but I'm glad that people can go like check in on you. Like they kind of probably see the journey get started as this episode drops, go check out Ryan. We'll kind of have all your stuff linked below so people can kind of check out whatever you might be able to document while you're doing it. I find those sailing things super fascinating personally. I saw those guys like literally row across the Atlantic, and I don't know if they finished yet, but I guess I'll have to go check their page. But in addition to that, man, it's cool to see how something that starts as a passion project can turn into something that's like so much bigger. And like you said, like Seamus and I feel super fortunate to, get people on to give us an hour of their time to, talk shop and just hear the story, especially from an entrepreneur and someone that's actually created like a product and seeing like what it turns into and how that creative like headspace goes. So thanks again. And, everybody here that gave it a listen, go give Ryan and his product a follow, go support his team. Obviously, if you're looking for a recovery device that can kind of do it all in a sense seems like everything from like a limb exposure type of element does a really good job with that. And then we're super excited that we continue to get great guests like Ryan on. And if you guys have people in mind, drop a comment below. If you aren't subscribed already, give us a subscribe. We would appreciate that, and a follow. We can only get bigger and better people on to help support the mission if we get more people to help support it. So, we do this, out of the goodness of our heart. We don't make any money from it. But our goal is to help bring quality information to people that are interested in health and wellness. So until next time, Macro Perspective peeps, we are out.